So here's what happened. Back in 2018, there was a wildfire in California, and it was one of the most deadliest and most destructive wildfires in California history. It took place in Northern California's Butte County, and it absolutely decimated the town of Paradise. One of the stories to come out of that situation was a truly, truly remarkable one, and it involved a lone bus driver by the name of Kevin McKay, whose job it was to shuttle a bunch of school kids from their school away from the fire that was about to destroy it. It was Kevin McKay, a school teacher, Mary Ludwig, and a whole bunch of school children in a bus. That in itself is a fantastic basis for a movie. But in the hands of Paul Greengrass, now let me say, whenever you see a Paul Greengrass film in a title card, you know you're in for a ride. And I think The Lost Bus on Apple TV Plus is one of the best disaster movies I have seen in a very long time. And not just because of the disaster stuff, not just because, all of that stuff fucking great, and we're going to get to it, but just by virtue of how well this story is told and how well this story is written. It is based on a book, Paradise, One Town Struggle to Survive an American Wildfire. It's just one element of that story, but this one is written by Paul Greengrass and Brad Inglesby, who was responsible for Mayor of Easttown and also Task, which is currently showing on HBO Max, which is another fantastic TV show. So with that pedigree behind this movie, boy, I had a great time. I don't know about you, Bahir. When I saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's a disaster movie by Paul Greengrass. I thought it would be all right. I didn't expect it to be this good.
I will say the only reason I watched this was because it was a Paul Greengrass disaster movie. I hate disaster movies only because they're so bad. I used to love them. Dante's
Same.
Peak, Inferno, Twister, that's my jam. But then you get shit like Greenland, and I'm just like, no, I'm fucking out.
Over the years, they all kind of succumbed to a template and became samey. So they were either the Roland Emmerich samey style disaster movie or the complete extreme ridiculous the moon is about to crash into the earth kind of disaster movie.
Even when it's not an Emmerich thing, it sort of goes down the sort of preachy, oh, I am so sad, and family drama, and I will never see my children again. And look, I get it, that was what happened, I'm really sorry, but doesn't make great television lah, you know? Whereas here, I think there's a real pace to it, right? Paul Greengrass knows he has to set up the characters, but doesn't spend too long on it.
You say that, but the reason this one works so well is because that character setup was there, right?
I don't disagree, but I think it was character setup. It wasn't meant to elicit response and a reaction from you, I think is what it is.
I see what you mean. It wasn't emotionally manipulative. It didn't go down the route where there is a soldier who takes out the photo and looks at his wife and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna die.
Yeah. It wasn't there just to be a thread that they can pull on later to make you cry.
Also because this is based on a true story, and man, Kevin McKay has a tough life. I mean, Matthew McConaughey plays this guy so well because he isn't your Dwayne Johnson style of hero in a disaster movie, right? This guy is a single father. His source of income is that he drives a bus. He's got to look after his mother because his father is dead. And he's trying to connect with his son in a way that's different from how his father treated him. And his dog has fucking cancer. I mean, this guy's life is not going well.
Can I just say, I was about halfway through this movie when my wife comes home from work. And I was like, oh, I'm watching a disaster movie. You like it? And she goes, oh, okay, great. But, I was like, if you want, I'll go back to the start and we can watch it. She was like, great, awesome. She goes to the kitchen to wash her hands. I sort of rewind it back to the beginning, but I start immediately after that vet visit. Because I cannot watch that again. because I just had to go through that myself. And two, I don't want my wife to have to go through it, and then I will have to deal with that for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just move. I just like, oh, there's some stuff in the beginning, just character bits. You don't have to worry about it. It's fine.
And all of that is just a brief, fantastic setup for the moral dilemma that Kevin has to face, right? Because he too has a family he's got to get back to, and he's got to make that decision. Do I go back to my family, or do I respond to the call and go and help these children?
Yes.
And of course, it feels like a simple enough decision, but it isn't. Because what if the rescuers don't get to your family in time? I mean, there are all of these questions that are playing in his mind as he drives to that school, picks up these kids and this teacher, and then finds himself in the heart of the fire. And the reason this movie works so well is because of that character work. Like America Ferrera's character, the teacher, only comes in Act 2. But even then, there is a brief setup with how she is with the children in the school, and you immediately understand what kind of a teacher she is and what kind of a person she is. And the conversations that the both of them have on the bus while they're trying to outrun this fire and outfight this fire also doesn't feel emotionally manipulative. It's just very real conversations between two people who are trying to survive and distract each other from the impending doom that is all around them.
That is the literal hellscape that was paradise around them. Yeah.
It's nuts. But it's just
nuts.
Really, really well done. And then, motherfucker, oh my God, the fire. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so fire is scary. And then when you show it on screen and it's all encompassing and everywhere, that is also scary. But the one thing you can never feel, whether you are watching it on TV or in the cinema, is, of course, the heat. Because that is the most terrifying thing, right? Now, Paul Greengrass can't make you feel heat. But boy, can he make you hear it. Like, whoever did the sound design for this thing, oh my God, when you watch The Lost Bus, and we highly recommend that you do, turn your volume up. The way the fire sounds in this movie is nightmarish. Like, sometimes there is nothing else, but the sound of the fire is terrifying.
Yeah. And also, I think because there is no villain in this film, there's a way that Paul Greengrass shoots the fire and shoots the wind. He gives them agency.
Hold on. That's the other thing I wanted to say, right? Very quickly, before you go back to your villain thing. This isn't that other kind of stupid disaster movie where people in authority are stupid and like, oh, we don't think there's a fire. Oh no, it's too late. We should have listened to you in the first place. Like, none of that bullshit.
Yeah. There's no deniers here.
Yes.
Everybody's on board. Nobody's like, I'll just finish my breakfast first before I attend to that small fire that you say there is.
Right.
No, everybody's a professional. Everybody's completely on the ball. When the calls come in, they're like, yep, I'm heading there right now.
And also because you don't need that. In the sense that when a fire breaks out, that's the only villain you need.
That's the context that this English director has got, right? That in Northern California, when these things happen, these dry weather events come through and you get 60, 65, 75 mile hour winds, all you need is one spark and that thing will jump. So you don't need a human idiot on the other end just standing in the way, trying to sell t-shirts or not cancel school or be a complete bureaucrat. You don't need that guy because this is serious enough. Let's not have that. So, and that I appreciate. You're right. I completely appreciated that. Nobody acted like an idiot. There were a couple of people I wanted to slap, which were the PG&E guys.
Pacific Gas Electric Company? They're the ones to blame, right? And they were taken to task and fined and... Yeah, it was all their fault.
But they stood out of the way. At one point, I think an executive shows up, but he was sort of waved away because they were dealing with it. So I appreciated that there were no stupid people in this film. I was worried that Kevin's bus dispatcher, Ruby, who he was sort of at loggerheads at the beginning of the film because he wanted to do something and she tells him not to, and so there's a bit of a back and forth. I was worried that she was going to be a bitch. I was worried that she was going to be no, you just go out there and go and do it. But she doesn't. She's completely human. She has a heart, which is nice to see. It's nice to see that the film doesn't make a villain caricature out of anybody they can get.
And I think in that sense, it feels like the movie was really grounded in the real. And Paul Greengrass didn't feel the need to overly dramatize what happened because he saw the drama in what actually happened. And I think a mistake that a lot of disaster movies make, even the ones that are based in reality, is to trip into melodrama because they feel that they need that added layer of emotion, when in fact, the end of the world is all the emotion you need.
Yeah, they kind of just egg it on for egging it on sake.
And The Lost Bus at 130 minutes moves. It is pacey, it is riveting. You kind of know what happens, but that's irrelevant, right? You know the end of the story, but at the same time, it's the journey that keeps you at the edge of your seat throughout. Like, this is one of the best movies I've seen in 2025. Like, as far as genre movies go, I haven't seen anything this good in a very long time.
Like, I cannot think of anything that I can fault this film with. I loved all the characters. I loved that there were no idiots in the movie. I loved how tight the film was. Like, it starts off very quickly. Immediately, you're on Matthew McConaughey's side. And as soon as you meet America Ferrera, who is the lovely person that she is, you're completely on her side as well.
And also, the pace of the movie is, or at least it feels like it's closely tied in to the spread of the fire. And so nothing feels out of sync. Like, the fire breaks out, and then all of these other stories that you're following take place as the fire is growing. So it makes perfect sense by the time Kevin reaches that school that the fire is where it's at.
There were times when I had to sort of say out loud to remind myself and also my wife that they haven't had a chance to take a nap. They've been going and going and going. And it's mostly because, again, this is not that it's inaccurate. This is completely accurate. But because a lot of the film happens in smoke. So it looks like nighttime, which is just eerie as fuck. Because when they cut out to the fire chief and the response areas and you realize it's daytime, and then you come back to Matthew McConaughey inside the fire, you go, oh shit.
Like, this is post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. And I think that sort of can make you forget that this movie told the story of essentially 4 hours in one day.
Yeah.
And I think that was scary.
But the authenticity of that look is what makes it so scary as well, because...
Only because I had seen the documentary that you told me to watch.
Oh, yeah. So if you want a supporting piece...
Companion piece.
Yeah, a companion piece, an adjacent piece to this, on Disney Plus Hotstar, or now Disney Plus, there is a documentary on Nat Geo called Rebuilding Paradise. It's directed by Ron Howard, and that one kind of chronicles the wildfire, but mostly about the rebuilding of the city of Paradise. The bureaucracy, the politics, the community, all of that stuff.
The stupidity happens after the fire.
Exactly. All of the stupidity happens after the fire. You also find out what happens to the Pacific Gas Company. Everything is in that documentary, and it is really a fantastic companion piece because after you watch this movie, trust me, you're going to want to Google and learn more about what actually happened. And that documentary is a great piece. So watch that as well. But The Lost Bus, man, I forget how much I love Paul Greengrass movies.
I forgot how much I love great Paul Greengrass movies. I'm not saying he's made some clankers, but this is like up there in terms of his good stuff. Even like United 93 still felt a little...
Still a great movie, though.
It's
like,
a
the
great
tension
movie.
was so good.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like, because of what it is, there's still emotional attachments to, like Captain Phillips, right? It's not as straightforward as I liked. Whereas like The Lost Bus is a straightforward disaster movie. It almost feels like a monster movie. There are no beats where he's like crying about his son and his missing wife and blah blah blah. None of that emotional shit. This is Matthew McConaughey has to drive this bus through fire with 22 children in the back of it. It's great.
Go watch The Lost Bus. It is now streaming on Apple TV Plus. We highly recommend it. It is a great disaster movie. It's also nice to see Matthew McConaughey play more intimate parts like this. This is a very small acting part, I think, but it's just so intense and intimate, and he's so good in it.
This is the role where a lot of actors say is a juicy part, because it's not a lot of words, but there's a lot of capital A acting here. Like at the end of the movie, when he finally gets out of the bus after everybody else has, there's a acting choice that he makes, which is just really sort of exemplifies quiet strength
Yes.
in a way that isn't like showy, that isn't Jared Leto.
Go watch this movie. Let us know what you think once you've seen it. You know how to reach out. We're on Instagram on GogglerMY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.